A state may decide, a country or a government may decide to control the population, and under the guise of that policy, the government might start conducting vasectomies in men. So, hello, students, and welcome to another lecture. And the topic of this lecture is the Genocide Convention. As the entire world is witnessing a brutal genocide in West Asia, on the land of Palestine, and it's not that this has just started. No, it never started on 7th October 2023, but it carries with itself a saga of violent human rights violations and genocide since last 76 years by the Zionist occupying forces upon the Palestinians. Okay, so this genocide is happening of the Palestinian civilians in West Asia on the occupied territories of Palestine. So let us understand what is Genocide Convention and what the international law has to say about it. Explainer. What is the Genocide Convention? South Africa has set out its case accusing Israel of violating the Genocide Convention, pointing to the current situation in the bombarded, besieged Gaza Strip, home to 2.3 million Palestinians. So, why this has come to the fore, why this has become a current issue? Because the South Africa as a nation has brought a case against Israel before the International Court of Justice, accusing Israel, the Zionist Israel, of committing genocide of Palestinian people on its occupied territory. So what the South Africa has alleged Israel to be doing, that it is continuously bombarding the besieged Gaza Strip, which is home to 2.3 million Palestinians. Now filed with the Hague-based International Court of Justice. International Court of Justice is one of the organs of United Nations, which has its headquarters in the Hague, the Netherlands. The Hague, Netherlands, a UN court on 29th December, South Africa's case stated that Israel, particularly since October 7, has failed to prevent genocide and has failed to prosecute direct and overt incitement to genocide. So, South Africa has brought a case against Israel, and it has alleged that Israel has failed to prevent genocide and has failed to prosecute direct and overt incitement to genocide. So there has been a full-fledged genocide, which is direct and which is overt. Overt means which is open, which is not hidden. Okay, which is open. The world is witnessing it. No, it is not hidden from any person. Okay, what is the Genocide Convention? Now let us see what the international law has to say about it. The 1948 Convention on the Prevention and Punishment of the Crime of Genocide is the first human rights treaty adopted by the UN General Assembly. It came on the heels of the Second World War following the Holocaust, during which Nazi Germany systematically killed more than 6 million Jewish people. So the 1948 Convention on the Prevention and Punishment of the Crime of Genocide, this is the whole name of this is the full name of the convention. This hails from the year 1948 because it came on the heels of the Second World War, because the world witnessed a brutal and barbaric Second World War, and it was pertinent for the international community, while establishing peace and harmony in the world, to have a convention like this that would prevent genocide, and to have a convention on the prevention and punishment of the genocide 1948, because it came on the heels of Second World War following the Holocaust, because it was a brutal Holocaust committed by the Nazi Germany, as it is stated in the pages of history, that the Adolf Hitler had committed Holocaust upon the Jews in Germany, and that is what pushed them from leaving the lands in Europe, and they migrated in large numbers to the state of Palestine and occupied large parts of it illegitimately. Okay, known as the Genocide Convention, it indicates the international community's commitment that the atrocities of genocide never be repeated. However, the other cases have emerged, including Rwanda in 1994 and Srebrenica in 1995. There has been various genocide cases. There happened in Rwanda. There happened in in Bosnia, and Srebrenica in 1995, consisting of 19 articles. Now, let us talk about the convention. Consisting of 19 articles, the instrument provides the first international legal definition of the term genocide. This was the first time that genocide was defined. Genocide was defined. As I have previously stated in some of the earlier videos, that in order to tackle a particular problem, you first need to have a concrete definition of it so that you can hit them categorically. But the question is, if the world wanted to prevent and punish genocide, the world concertedly defined genocide. But when it comes to defining terrorism, the world fails to define it, yet the world remains on heels to finish or vanquish it completely from the face of the earth. That is ironical, as I always say. It also stipulates the duty of the 153 states that have ratified or acceded to the convention to prevent and punish the crime of genocide. So 153 states have already ratified it. Ratification means whenever a treaty or convention comes into existence, there are certain steps involved in it. One is, like, it starts from negotiations, identifying the problem, then negotiations, then coming together of the parties, then discussions and deliberations, then drafting of the conventions, then debates, and then comes the signing of the treaty, and then last comes the ratification of the treaty. Signing and ratification, what is the difference? Once it was signed, it could have been like the last stage, but that is not the last stage. That is the penultimate stage when a treaty or a convention is signed. Ratification is the last stage. Why? What is the difference between signing and ratification? Signing means that if the countries have signed a convention or a treaty, that means that they have consented to whatever is written, or what they have consented to the contents of the convention or the treaty. There is no further deliberations or amendments that they are willing to bring. That is it. Signing means. Then ratification means then they are ready to get it enforced upon them. That is ratification. When a country is ready to get it enforced upon it. A country may sign the treaty, yet it may not ratify it for many following years. This might happen, and this has happened in several cases. Like India has signed, there was a convention against torture hailing from the year 1987. India signed it in 1997, and yet till today India has not ratified it, because every country is sovereign and every country has a full-fledged right to determine itself that whether if the circumstances are conducive enough in the country to get a particular international treaty or a convention enforced upon it. Okay, so that is what ratification is. 153 states that have ratified or acceded to the convention to prevent and punish the crime of genocide. 41 UN member states have yet to ratify or accede to the convention. Of those, 18 are from Africa, 17 from Asia, and 6 from the America. That's very interesting. Why these countries are reluctant to ratify this convention? Because, if you look at certain countries, the political conditions in certain countries of Africa, you would come to know that there are governments which are committing genocide of the innocent people. Like Nigeria, if you talk about Nigeria has been involved, the state of Nigeria has been involved in brutal assassinations of civilian people, and in international war crimes, crimes against humanity, and crimes of aggression, and genocide also. And yet, that is why that might be one of the reasons that 18 countries from Africa are not interested in ratifying it, 17 from Asia, and 6 from the America. What does genocide mean? According to Article 2nd of the Convention, genocide means any of the following acts committed with intent to destroy, in whole or in part, a national, ethnical, racial, or religious group. So, what is the intention? The intention is to destroy. That means any acts committed with an intention to destroy in whole or in part national, ethnical, racial, or religious group. There is a national group, there are different identities of the group which have been brought within the scope of this definition. National group, it may be a national group. For example, if a particular community of Indians is living in a certain country, and the government of that country decides to finish them off, then that will amount to genocide. National. Ethnical means if you belong to particular ethnicity. We are Asian Indians. Okay, we are Asian Indians. So that is what our ethnicity is. Okay. Then there's racial. We belong to a certain race. We may belong to a certain caste or race. Okay. So that means if somebody tries to finish off a particular race, then that amounts to genocide. Religious group. For example, if you are a Muslim or you are a Hindu or you are a Sikh, and if some country or the government of that country decides to finish a particular religious group, then that amounts to genocide. Killing members of the group. Okay, that is, these are the kinds of acts involved in the definition. Killing members of the group, causing serious physical or mental harm to members of the group. Whatever serious physical or mental harm to the members of the group, harm may be of any kind. Okay. Intentionally. Now, how these kinds of phrases are defined? These are defined through the judgments of the International Court of Justice. Okay. Intentionally subjecting the group to living conditions intended to cause its physical destruction in whole or in part. That means you are forcing a particular group out of them to live in certain conditions which would amount to their destruction. Okay, which would amount to their physical destruction. Automatically those people are going to die naturally. If you are depriving them of food and water, if you are asking them to live in a region which has excessive water scarcity, and you are not supplying water, you are not providing them food, definitely a time will come that all these people will die, and this amounts to genocide. So killing members of the group, causing serious physical or mental harm to members of the group, intentionally subjecting the group to living conditions intended to cause its physical destruction in whole or in part, imposing measures aimed at preventing the birth of children within the group. For example, a state may decide, a country of or government may decide to control the population, and under the guise of that policy, the government might start conducting vasectomies in men. Okay, that will prevent the births. Okay, or that will forcible vasectomies. Okay, so that amounts to genocide. Forcibly transferring children from the group to another group, forcibly transferring children from one group to another. So that also amounts to genocide. What actions are punishable? Under Article 3rd of the Convention, the following acts are punishable: genocide, conspiracy to commit genocide, direct and public incitement to commit genocide, attempt to commit genocide, participation in genocide. Okay, these are the acts which are punishable. Genocide itself is punishable. Then any conspiracy to commit it is punishable. Then any direct or public incitement, if you are somebody who is inciting the genocide, do it. Like today, United States is inciting Israel to commit genocide in Palestine. So the incitement is involved. Okay, then US is also involved in conspiracy. It is also involved in direct and public incitement. Then it is also involved in an attempt, because it is also sending its warship. And since it is sending its warships, then it is a participation in genocide also. If you are participating in genocide, it is also punishable. Now, does anyone have immunity from prosecution for genocide? Anyone? Let us see who has and who does not have the immunity from prosecution for genocide. Where do trials take place? Persons accused of such acts are tried before a competent court of the state on whose territory the act was committed. Now, जिसकी टेरिटरी के ऊपर भी ये एक्ट कमिट किया गया है, वही कॉम्पिटेंट कोर्ट ऑफ द स्टेट के पास ज्यूरिसडिक्शन है, अथॉरिटी है, पावर है टू ट्राई सच persons who have committed genocide. The accused can also be tried before an international criminal court that has jurisdiction over any of the contracting parties whose jurisdiction it has recognized. So Even International Criminal Code, like we discussed in the earlier video, what is International Criminal Code? That came into existence by virtue of the 1998 Rome Statute to the International Criminal Court, and it was established on 1st July 2002 when the Rome Statute came into force. So accused can also be tried before an international criminal court that has jurisdiction over any of the contracting parties whose jurisdiction it has recognized. And we have already discussed this in the previous video, that the countries who have recognized and who have surrendered their jurisdictions, their jurisdictions before the International Criminal Court, the International Criminal Court will be empowered to try their offenses, try these offenses in those countries. Many of the countries like United States and India and Russia, they have not submitted yet to the jurisdictions of the International Criminal Court. What is the role of the ICJ, International Court of Justice? The ICJ handles disputes between states. In South Africa's case against Israel, the allegations pertain to violating the Genocide Convention. Any case can be submitted to the court relating to the responsibility of a state for genocide or for any of the other acts listed in Article 3 of the Convention. So whatever the South Africa's case, South Africa has brought a case against Israel before the International Court of Justice, and that pertains to the Genocide Convention. And any case can be submitted to the court relating to the responsibility of a state for genocide or for any of the other acts listed in Article 3 of the Constitution. So that's very simple. International Day to honor the victims of genocide. South Africa has set out its case accusing. So there's something repeating here. Okay, so that is all about. Okay, the document and the document ends here, that International Day to honor the victims of genocide. That yes, every year on 9th December, since it was adopted on 9th December, the Office on Genocide Prevention and the Responsibility to Protect marks the convention's adoption, which represents a crucial global commitment made the day before the UDHR, Universal Declaration of Human Rights. So 9th December is a marked year to observe as a day for the victims of genocide. The day became known as the International Day of Commemoration and Dignity of the Victims of the Crime of Genocide and of the Prevention of this crime. The UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres stressed the need for the convention and its timeless message to remain a living force in our world. He said it should be a force that motivates us to fulfill the solemn promise that emerged from the convention. At the same time, perpetrators must be held accountable, he said. Okay, so that's all under this topic, Genocide Convention. And in the end, I request you to scan this and subscribe to the official YouTube channel of Paathshala classes. Thank you.